Hey, good morning. You are back with the crew. We have a lot to talk about again today. There's a lot of things happening in the world today, as you guys know. A lot of people, our friends and neighbors, don't understand, and they don't see the big picture, and they get caught up in the mayhem of the media. The media is not your friend. They've never been your friend. Whatever you hear from the media about, in particular when they're trying to drum up emotion inside of you to hate or dislike another country, that's intentional. It's not an accident. They only bring up the bad things that other countries do to incite you. They're trying to start a world war. I hope that's obvious to most of you. The reason, in my opinion, the biggest reason why they're trying to do such a drastic move, again, this is one man's opinion, is that they've made a complete mockery of the US dollar in the financial system, in which pretty much ran the monetary world for the last 50 years, for sure. As many of you know, 3 years ago, whatever it was, we went off a gold standard in 1971. Since that day, it's just been smoke and mirrors, the US dollar. And they've used it to control the world and print ridiculous amounts of money to create a arms force and a military that is ridiculously overbuilt. Not to mention the 900 bases all over the world. And, it's hard to say that, other countries are the aggressor when you're all over the planet. Anyway, I didn't want to go down that angle so much, especially on this platform. I really want you to understand that what they're doing is they're trying to create an avenue for them to escape. I don't want to get too serious with this conversation, but they've made a mockery of the US dollar, as I mentioned. They've taken the labor of the people of the country and this country and the world and abused it. They've inflated it, and they've opened their printing press, which is nothing more than forgery, to control the world. And they're being exposed for this. This is becoming more and more obvious to everybody that the US dollar is just fake. It's just a belief that everybody has that it was worth more than other dollars. It's not. It's just not. I mean, a Mexican peso is printed on a piece of paper. Well, it's kind of plastic, but both. And the US dollar is just ink on a paper. It's only backed by the reputation of the nation. Well, that reputation has been tarnished in so many ways in the last 50 years through corruption and manipulation of other countries' banking systems that people are joining together, such as the BRICS nations, and they're all getting together and they're saying, no, wait a minute, we want to play on a fair playing field. Well, the people that don't want a fair playing field are grasping for straws, and they're tempting you to send your children to other nations to kill other children. Again, to hide the mistakes they've made and the corruption they've used and the power of the dollar. This is my opinion, one man's opinion. So they're desperate. They're in trouble, and they see it, and things are collapsing around them. And, it's one nation after another nation after another nation. It just becomes, part of this BRICS group. Like I talked about in the last video, Mexico. I mean, yeah. And then they're going to try and convince you that Mexico is our enemy, and, Somalia is our enemy, and Russia's our enemy, and China's our enemy, and let's see, South Africa, and Brazil, and India. At what point do you finally look in the mirror and say to yourself, we can't hate everybody. Wait a minute. why can't you negotiate with all these different countries? Why do you just pick up a gun and pick up a camera and try and convince all the American people, all the Western people, that all these people are a threat to us? I reflect back often about a speech that was given, I want to say it was 62, 63, I think it was December of 62. Don't quote me on that. But a fine gentleman by the name of JFK, as you probably all have heard of him, he was before my time, actually. And he had a speech that I've heard. I've heard it a dozen times if I've heard it once. It's a beautiful speech. It's really kind of hard to get a hold of, but I urge everybody in the world to listen to it. In that speech, he recommended that the United States partner with Russia and China to create a peaceful and prosperous planet. That we could all work together to create one coalition globally for the prosperity of all people and the well-being of all man. It's a beautiful speech. You should really hear it. Well, almost to the day, 30 days later, the man was shot and killed. And you can decide who did that for yourself. However, other global leaders in the world never forgot that speech. Stop and ask yourself, why is it that Russia tried to become a member of NATO forever? Why didn't we allow why isn't Russia our ally? Didn't we both conquer World War II together? Why are they not our ally? Why is it they wanted to become a member of NATO and we never let them in? Why is it since 2015 we've been asked, we being the United States, have been asked to become a member of the BRICS organization, to create a global, peaceful world together? Well, I talk about often in this show, and again, this is just what little bit I've learned in my lifetime. Because there was a group of people who believed in the New World Order. Those people believed that they could control the world. Didn't necessarily have the people's best interest in mind. I'm not saying that the BRICS nations are perfect or they're doing all the right things. But I am saying this, what they've done to Africa and how they've helped Africa and how they're now going into Ukraine this coming week, and Xi Jinping is going to try and create a peace between Russia and Ukraine. They want peace. They're not throwing more billions of dollars of tanks and weapons at each other. They're asking for peace. And all you need to do is ask yourself, when's the last time you've ever listened to a speech in English or translated of what Xi Jinping or Putin has ever said? Or have you just taken the word for what they said by some chimp in a suit in front of a camera telling you what he said? Read their speeches. I do. I have. I listen to them. I read them. They're not perfect. That system isn't perfect. There is no perfect world. But they remind me a lot of that speech from the 60s with a man who had a dream and a goal and a hope for global peace. And that's what they sound like. And they warn us constantly of the military-industrial complex, of the corruption of the US dollar, And they're trying to get the world to go back to a sound money. Gold-based, precious metals based. Because you can't create an army of ridiculousness when you're on a gold-backed system. You simply can't generate enough money without printing it out of thin air to do what all the countries have done over the last 50 years, is they've just turned on the printing tap at the expense of you and I. Your labor has paid for all of that. Your inflation rate is because of all of that. These are trying times. This is a time in our lives that we're all going to look back and we're going to say, well, you know, I sat down, I stopped listening to what I always listen to, and I opened my mind and I thought, how do I create a better world for all of us? How do I find peace in the world? You find it within yourself first. And then you find a way to limit the amount of information that you take in daily from people who don't have possibly the best interest at everybody at heart. And you weigh the information that you take in. And you make a decision to say, I'm going to try to be objective. And I'm going to use the word discernment here. And I want to make sure that what I'm listening to makes sense. And the people who are presenting it to me actually care about people. They don't just care about profits. They don't just care about power. And they're not telling you to fear something. They're just telling you, we can all do this together. It's not impossible. I know, it's a long road. It's a long road. But peace is obtainable. We have it. We can keep it. But it starts with you understanding that you and I, no matter what country you're in, we have no reason to hate each other. We only have opportunity if we work together. It's our future is so bright because of so much technology coming our way. And the powers that have really made a mess of a lot of things through control or trying to control people or trying to figure out everything you're doing every moment of every single day, because they live in a palace of paranoia that never succeeds. Those systems always fail. Those governments always fail. Always. So don't fear them. They're weak people. They're weak-minded people. Prosperity and the well-being of man always prevails. Always. I didn't want to make such a heavy video, but I get a lot of posts from a lot of people, and I've had 2 or 3 interviews over the last couple days, and a lot of people are very concerned about a lot of different things going on in the world, as well we all should be. But remember, the well-being of mankind can't be changed by the Federal Reserve or governments. The well-being of mankind remains within the consciousness of every human being who wants a better world, which is way more numbers and way more people. So, with that, I'm going to have to bid you guys a good day. And remember, you and we are the power of this planet. Love you guys. Chat soon. So my dog chases this turkey the other day. And the turkey's always run. He's an older turkey now. Buddy is his name. Buddy's a smart turkey. And this time, Buddy decided not to run. Buddy stopped, turned around, put his wings up, and Bruno went running the other way. Yeah. Yep. Oh, tough guy Bruno was running for the hills. It was hilarious. I wished I could have videoed it.